competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Hello, my name is Jonas Nielson and I'm from House of Hope, and with me today I have Richard Paulsson, that I got to know when I was studying in Lund many years ago. Welcome, Richard. Nice to see you again.
Yes, thank you. And it's really, again, this time, since we were here last year and had a discussion of what was going to come on this broadcast channel. And Jonas, well, you mentioned that we actually met at the university a few years back, and let's recap a bit. What choices and what knowledge and what interest has boiled down to this meeting that we have right now? What do you think?
Yeah, well, there has been this. I mean, we got to know each other, and we were in this sustainable university together, Hållbart Universitet, and quite rapidly we realized that both of us were interested in houses. And when we were in Berlin, we were looking at those environments, the backyard places, and we started to talk about architecture. I was living in Hans Westman's house in Professorstaden in Lund, a house full of architectural history. And then we went to Habitat 2, the UN conference. I think that was back in 1995 in Turkey, and that was just on habitation and how the cities in the future should adapt for increasing populations and all that. And
yeah, and we actually went there because we started a Gruppen för hållbart boende, sustainable living. Already as students working with student housing, and we actually had seminars with all faculties at the university discussing sustainable living.
That's right. That was interesting. Yeah, and it was, and I wanted to be more hands-on. So I went on. I had this not a vacation. Yeah, I had this year when I was working in the Viking village in Kävlinge kommun. So there I was restoring an old house. Used to be where they used to store the coal for they were making bricks. There were a lot of brick factories in Skåne at that time. I mean before. So this was old coal store, and I was taught by a Danish eco-architect how to put bricks, and we restored the roof, and I had many contacts there. So that was interesting to be through that as well. So, and since many of my works, when I finished my studies, has been both you know, sitting in an office, but also very handy, very manual works as well. So and that led up to this. Always been the latest, well, 25 years. I've had this dream to build a eco house, and there's so many kinds of eco house. And now I had the opportunity to build a house, so I grabbed that chance.
We talked before that you live in one architectural house in Lund, but there was actually a neighbor who built one of the first eco houses in the city of Lund.
Yeah, that's right, Christer Wiberg. We were there, we went over to his house and we knocked on his door, and he talked about his house and the process and how he had come up with his concept for his house. So that was a big inspiration to be able to talk to him.
Have you taken any of his ideas and put into your own house that you built?
I think he had, well, the thing of having thick walls where you can store heat, or you store heat in the winter and you store, you have a colder, shallower temperature in the summer. So I have, in this house, I have 30 centimeter thick walls. So that is one inspiration that I had. I think that's, actually I don't remember so much the details. Well, a lot of natural materials, of course. That's important because you want to have a healthy indoor climate or environment. So natural colors and getting rid of all corny materials, all chemical materials is important.
And then we came to about when did you start planning your house? Is that 2 or 3 years ago?
It must have been 2 years ago, actually. I think it was 2 years ago when I knew that I was going to build a house. So I was doing some drawings, how I wanted the interior to look like, the spaces I needed, the functions. And then I brought an architect in, and he could really do something with those ideas of mine. So
what was your needs for this space? How did you think? How did you plan it for right now and over time?
Well, from the beginning, the idea was to have only 25 or 30 square meters with this regulation you have today with those tiny houses. But then I realized I had the right to build 50 square meters on my where I live. So all of a sudden I have 20 more square meters, and my son, he wanted a room of his own. So when I planned the house, the goal was to have a lot of volume in the house. Instead of thinking two-dimensionally, you want to think 3 dimensions. So you can use the walls, you can use all the space in your house. You have a lot of air, and we managed to do that. Actually, I have, instead of having a loft, I really have another story on the house, where I have the bedroom, and I could add also a balcony, which was, I thought it was out of reach when I started this, but actually I have my balcony as well. So and then I want to have as many long life material as possible. No concrete if it's possible. I mean, the platform is made of foam glass, materials that last for a long time. So the parents of my wife in France, they live in a Colombage was at, a timber frame house, and it's 400 years old and it's still being used. And I like that concept of construct something that will be there, hopefully, in hundreds or 200s of years. So that is one of the things that I care about.
You talked about France just before here, and actually some of the material and techniques and the skills are introduced to the Scandinavian market that are French in your house.
Yeah, that's right. I got in contact with those hemp people. I thought they would be very weed smoking, strange people, but they were dealing with hemp. You can do a lot of things with hemp, and hemp is not cannabis. So I went to this building course, and I made quite a few good contacts, and one of them was House of Hemp with Peter Hondal, who lives in France, and he had a lot of contacts and enormously, a lot of knowledge as well. So when I was thinking about building this man cave, or actually I got divorced, so I needed a place to live in. So the idea of building a small house came up. And then from just buying a prefab box, I wanted to do something really healthy, really doing it my way. So then the idea came up with building with hemp, because I was very impressed by the potential of this material. So I spoke to Peter Hondal, and he thought the idea was really good. And also I spoke with De Romme, who made Förskolan Hoppet in Göteborg. And also I got in contact with Koljarn, who are doing the platform or the foundation of the house. So pretty quickly I had an idea about how the house was going to work, how it was going to be constructed. And
why did you choose Koljarn to deliver the foundation to the house?
First of all, I wanted to get rid of the concrete, and I wanted to have something with a smaller ecological or CO2 impact. And also you can actually reutilize. If one day I should decide to kick the house down or move it or whatever, you can actually pick the house apart, and I don't know, I don't want to say it's 100% recyclable, but I think we could say 90% or 85%. I'm just speculating. But the entire foundation can be like Lego, or you just pick it apart and you lift it away and you can put it somewhere else. It's really great. And it has a lifespan of more than 200 years according to tests at Chalmers. And
what kind of magic material is this floor made of, since it lasts hundreds and hundreds of years?
It's actually a kind of glass where they have injected air. They call it cell glass, foam glass. So it's a completely inert material. So it doesn't rot. The pests will not eat it. It will actually stay unaffected by time and by nature, because it's made of glass. So you won't have molds or anything in it. So it's a great material.
I thought about this hemp that you take from France. Is it what do they build with it in France? Is that a new product, and is it only small houses, or how do they use it? I mean, you talked about De Romme, which are quite big on wooden constructions, building quite a lot of houses and provides materials to people that build their own houses. But how is hemp in France? Is that like wood in Sweden, or?
Well, France is the leader of hemp construction today, I dare to say. It's all certified, and it's I think most of it. I have a couple coming in May to do the inside of my house. Puts, I don't know the word in English. Rendering. They're going to rendering the inside of my house. And they've made hundreds of houses where they are adding hemp, a layer of hemp on the outside, maybe on the inside as well, to improve the isolation of the house. So that's what they do mostly. But they actually build large houses in the middle of Paris. They build multi-story houses, blocks of flats. And in Lille, they were restoring thousands of old apartments, and they were doing that with hemp. They were competing with rock wool, but when they usually rock wool have a very short return of invest. But the owner, which was the city of Lille, said, we are not in a hurry. We have owned these houses for many years and we intend to do this for many years as well. So if we look at a longer return of investment period, well, then hemp was outstanding. So they're actually doing thousands of restoring and fixing the insulation of thousands of apartments in Lille. So it's not a bunch of hippies building their hobbit domes. This is really serious business and well established in Paris. The Olympic Village will be made by prefabricated hempcrete walls. So they are very ambitious in France. We don't know too much about what's happening in France, but there are a lot of initiatives and a lot of cutting edge things in the building industry that is happening in France. And that's why I'm building a house as well. I want to inspire people and open the eyes of people.
Yeah, in this inspiration, now you have a Swedish product in the floor, and you work with Daome with their knowledge about wood. And do you think that could be a spot of knowledge that France can learn from Sweden and Sweden can learn from France?
Yes, the French are interested. They know that in Sweden we know wood construction. We have a reputation, probably worldwide, for wood, and also Peter has a very good contact with the people in the hemp world of France, and there is a huge potential of growing hemp in Sweden. We've done that before this cannabis hysteria grabbed us, and it was forbidden. But what we need is the machinery. We need the processes. We need the machinery to separate the fibers from the hemp sheaves. So you want to have a certain quality when you're going to build with hemp. If you have too much dust, you will lose the qualities of it. So definitely our dream is to have from the seed to the prefabricated walls, have that in place in Sweden, because transporting hemp from France to Sweden, it's silly. So we have to open the eyes of people so they start asking for hemp houses. And yeah.
And Jonas, I know you have another interest actually in is not only hemp interest that you will have it in your house, but you also see it as maybe a crop for Swedish farms, and also working with storing carbon dioxide in the earth.
That's right. what's so fascinating with hemp is that it has so many applications, from making textiles, making houses, superfood. And I spoke to researchers at Linnéuniversitetet in Kalmar, Växjö. They used hemp to, how do you say, remediate toxic soils. So the hemp does that. Hemp is also good because it has very deep going roots. So you could actually, when you grow that, it will actually capture 10 to 15 tons of CO2 per hectare. And if you could store that by building houses with it or whatever you use it, then there are a huge potential of storing carbon for a long time. Some people make biochar out of hemp. They make those little pellets that you can use in your stove. There are so many things going on. So I hope there are already people growing hemp close by where I live, actually. But they do it for the seeds, for superfood, or for, well, they are not really using the hemp for its full potential yet, because the market isn't there yet. But there's a huge potential coming up.
So hemp sounds a bit like a Swiss Army knife. You have all the utilities that you want to use in it. And now I was thinking about, now we talked about the house, and we will soon look at a movie in a few minutes, where we see from where we started last year when we had this meeting, when we were here with the architect and talked about what will happen. But since the house is a part of the environment and what's in the area, could you please describe the plot of land that you have built a house on and how it's fitted into the landscape and the settings?
Yes, well, I have one of the few, what do you call it, plots where I live that has a slope on it. I mean, this part of Sweden is very flat, but I happen to live on a slope heading south. So when we were deciding where to put the house, there was a slope. So either we have to fill this slope up, or we have to dig in to the slope. So we decided to dig in a little bit to hide the house and not make it so disturbing to the environment. So we dug in to the slope. We have reinforced the sides of the slope because it's pretty sandy. Here you dig this far down and it's only sand. So, and we had to reinforce the ground as well. So it was pretty tricky to get everything in place. And also, when you're doing something new, because this is almost like a research and development project, like you have the traditional builder, he thinks that when you making this platform, this foundation, he thinks heavy concrete. So he wants to put 0.5 meter of macadam or stones in the ground. But this platform is, well, it's not very heavy, maybe 1,000 kilo or something like that. So there's so many things that are completely, we wouldn't have needed all those preparations. But now I know it stands on really solid ground. So it's not a loss, but it was kind of waste of time.
Now I think we're starting to get ready to see the movie of all the things that we've talked about.
Yeah,
and,
let's see the film.
Let's look at it and talk about it, what comes up, and maybe you can explain what's happened in the different steps, what was good, and what you can give points to other people that will build house to think about.
Oh yes. All right, is the film rolling now? Yeah, okay. Yes, okay. So first of all, we see we have the lot of digging. So that is, I spent a lot of time for that. So here you see that is the north part. Here we have the all the macadam, I don't know if that's the English word, but all the
Tarmac,
rocks.
tarmac.
Yeah, tarmac. So to be on the safe side. But that is a typical builder. He does what he was taught in school, the building school. So very good guy, but we could have put a fortress there. So the kids loved it. Big machinery in our garden. And then we did the piping. I could have gone a step further and made this different bathroom, but I do it the traditional, conventional way. And here we have the platform, the pot for the platform. You see there on the lorry. That's it. That's the entire platform. So we start with putting out these small parts that becomes the foundation of these sections. Here you see we put them piece by piece, and then we put a radon film, and then we put another layer. There you see we put another layer on, and then I mean the kids could help me with this. It was like a family project. So, I mean, show me a place where they are making a foundation where you can have kids without shoes helping you to put the things in place. It was really great, this part of the job. Cheap labor as well. Give them an ice cream and they work for you for an hour. Wonderful. And then, let's see. Yes, here we have it. Okay. Here you see the platform, and here we have to lift it in place because it's pretty difficult terrain with all that. But we were 3 or 4 people, and it took a couple of hours to get everything in place. And since the material is pretty soft, you make the holes for the pipes with an ordinary knife. It's like polystyrene or something like that. It's you don't need any heavy machinery there to do that. So here we just lower them into place, and then with we pull them the last couple of millimeters. We pull them in place. We put this compound on, kind of glue.
So did you produce any waste when you put down the foundation?
No, everything was, we got what we needed, and then just after we could start putting up the wooden structure from De Rome. They were fantastic. They made this pre-cut, so it was like building a furniture from IKEA, a little bit heavier, but it was so smooth. No waste. Just all.
How much time did you save that you didn't have to wait for the concrete to dry up?
I think we saved. Probably it takes 2 weeks. I think the latest concrete they harden pretty quick, but it could be 2, 3, 4 weeks depending on when you do it. And here we are spraying the hemp, and that is Peter from House of Hemp. So we are spraying that, and it forms a thick wall structure. And here you see from the inside, and that's about where we are now. And so we have a shell. We have weather protected shell, but then we're going to do the rendering on the inside, and then we're going to continue with the inside, putting up the walls, all that.
You gain some time for the concrete to dry, but how long does the hemp wall have to dry before you can go to next step?
They say the hemp wall will dry enough so you can put rendering on it 1 centimeter per day. So from when you're finished with it, it takes a month. Then you can render one of the sides. But actually, then it's like in a process, so it becomes harder. And during 3 years, there is a process in this wall. And they show me, Peter told me on one of these courses that they've seen all around in France where they've been building houses, how the cost for the heating is going down year after year during 3 years. No matter where they build the houses, no matter what year they build the house, it's the same. There is a process going on in the walls, and it's getting better and better insulated. So you can, after 30 days, you can put rendering on, but there is a process still going on for 3 years.
But you built the whole house. You also put the roof or the ceiling insulation.
Yes, that's right. If you look at the house, it looks like a sand cake, because you have the walls are made of hempcrete, but then it turns up on the roof, so it's like one big shell of hempcrete. So there are no, you don't have any, how do you say, meeting points. Usually you have a lot of leakage with heat where the conventional wall meets the roof, because it's two kind of constructions coming together. So here it's just one layer going from the ground up to the roof. So it's a very very tight from a heat perspective.
So there is no draft or wind coming in. It's quite a tight house. And how is with it from sound pollution?
It takes away a lot of sound. When I get in there, because I live pretty close to the motorway, and when you go in, it really turns the volume down, or it's pretty silent inside. So that's nice. And also you have the other aspects as well. People with allergy love the house because you don't have a lot of different emissions from plastic materials or glues or something like that. And people with asthma likes it too, because you have the perfect humidity inside. So there are many people, if they are not eco-architect wannabes or eco-builders, there are other reasons to look closer on hemp house.
So this is, we had this discussion a bit, what kind of a house are we building? But we started to look at houses that had been standing for 100 years or more. So we actually looked at that, or you looked at that when you copied their solutions to build your own house to last for generations. What's our steps now? Now we have a shell, the windows are in, it dries, and what steps are going to happen during the spring and the summertime? And is there any possibilities to come and visit and see and learn during that time?
Yes, well, first question, I'll have people from France coming in May, early May. They will be with me for 2 weeks, and they will get all the pieces back. How do you say? All the corners, really, like when you put the chrome work on a car, make the corners 90 degrees, fix all the cracks and all that has occurred. So
a final fitting.
Yeah, the final fitting, exactly. And there are always some tricky parts where you need some expert to lean on to. So that will be the first step, because the house has been just sitting there now, drying up. And then when the inside is done, we'll put the floor in, bathroom, kitchen, the staircase. So also we're looking at this special chimney that works on with pyrolysis, but that's another chapter. But I have contact with the guy who is making those biochar. Instead of burning your firewood to ashes, you burn it to biochar. So actually, every time you are having a nice cup of tea in front of the fire, you will actually capture some carbon at the same time. So and that's the entire philosophy as well. Live a good life and have a very tiny carbon budget at the same time. Health and my health and the global health or climate health.
Now, when you're planning, we sat here a year ago, and then you were planning for the house, and we were talking what would be. What are you planning for interior in your house? Make as little footprint as possible.
Well, I do different things. For example, the kitchen is sitting over at your brother's farm. I'm reusing a friend at the gym. She told me that she was going to get a new kitchen and I could have hers. It was in good shape, but she was fed up with it. So that is reusing. Otherwise, I'm so focused now on just getting. Have I told you something about? I don't know. I think that the only thing I've been thinking of has been the chimney, and yeah, that's it.
How are you thinking about the heating and the water and sewage?
Of course, yes. Actually, we are going to use heat pump, but also a neighbor who is he's working with heat pumps. He told me about the water. What do you call that? The boiler in Alsatienne, where the water heater. We are going to use a system that actually pulls out the air, and while it's doing that, it's working as a heat pump, so it will heat the water. So you will actually have 80% less energy to heat your water. So it's interesting to look at those things. Can I win a little bit here, a little bit there? And also photovoltaics on the roof. That's high on the wishing list. So I could have some couple of kilowatts on the roof, or on the roof of the other house as well. So that's just written on the wall. I got to have this solar power on the house as well.
I think we're coming a bit to the end for this year. I think we're going to come back next year, but I think you never mentioned where in Sweden you are building your house.
Yes, I'm building it in south of Landskrona, which is, well, in the south part of Sweden, opposite Copenhagen. On the other side of the pond, you have Malmö, and then if you go a little bit north, you have Landskrona, Helsingborg. But I live in the middle there. There's a famous golf course, Barsebäcks Golf Club, for the people who are into that. And we have a nuclear power plant, no longer in operation, but the Danish know Barsebäck because they hated it all these years. So that's where I live, 9 kilometers from the nuclear power plant.
So then, thank you for having this nice conversation again, and thank you for the invitation to the Best for the World broadcast also this year. Looking forward years to come, and thank you to everyone who listened to us, and hopefully we came up with some ideas.
It was always nice to talk to you, Richard.
Thank you.
See you again. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
we are competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.